What's going on, beautiful people? It is I, your flying locomotive and faster than a speeding bolt SuperCliff, coming at you live with a brand new video. So for today's majestic and fantastic video, I'm going to be talking about episode 1 of season 2 of House of the Dragon. Yes, the show is back, it's great, and I'm super happy about it. But before we dive into the machinations of Westeros and the Dance of Dragons Civil War, if you are new to the channel, then smash that like and subscribe button. That way you guys never miss out on anything that happens on this majestic channel. So what are you waiting for? Let's raise the bar and go full on Super Saiyan. Hit that subscribe button. Alright, so let's talk about episode 1, A Son for season 2 of House of the Dragon. And spoilers, mind you. So obviously at the end of season 1, it ended with Lucerys Velaryon getting essentially eaten by Vhagar, Aemond's dragon, big giant dragon thing. So whether it's House Velaryon conducting their blockade of trade into King's Landing, yeah, the war is pretty much bound to happen now. But we sort of pick up a couple days or weeks after that last scene. You got all of King's Landing, making sure that the skies are clear of enemy dragons, and you have like this obvious alertness to the characters, which is really cool. There's so much good about this episode, and I will say that the episode itself does a really good job of informing us more about the Greens, particularly the children, and like who they are as people. I think because of the fast forwarding time in the first season, because there were different actors playing the Greens, it was hard to kind of be invested in them. Even though you knew their character, it was just hard to like resonate. But I think the episode does a really good job in season 2, where you understand who Aegon Targaryen is. You know that he's kind of an idiot, but he's trying his best. Like he actually, you can tell that he genuinely wants to be a good king. And you have Helaena, his wife, sister, Targaryens are weird about that, you know, incest, but you have Helaena who, if you read the books, you understand that she has dragon dreams, which essentially tell the future. But here, you know, for people who have not read the books, you may come off, you know, thinking that she might be a bit on the spectrum, and she's kind of weird and says these random things that just don't make sense. You really get the sense that these characters know their positions. They kind of understand their place in this world. And even though they're like Aegon Targaryen, the current, you know, king, maybe not be the best person, you get a sense that he's trying his best to be a nice king. Yet at the same time, his skill when it comes to the Game of Thrones just sucks. And so you have Otto Hightower displaying like, oh, this guy is so stupid. I have to like come in and like advise him every step of the way. Another thing I really liked was in this episode, Jaehaerys, the older son of Rhaenyra, I think that's his name, Jaehaerys. I could be completely wrong, but he visits the wall. We see Winterfell, and he's visiting CreganStark. And what's really cool about this scene is, one, we're seeing the Stark and their sense of honor and loyalty to the North on full display. And we're also seeing the fact that the wall is extremely important. Obviously, because, you know, White Walkers, the others in the books. But something they said in the show really was like, oh yeah, that's right. So, okay, in this episode, CreganStark, he's recalling past stories when older members of House Targaryen came to visit the wall with their dragons. Despite the dragons being essentially AC-130s, they couldn't fly past the wall. They were too afraid. And that's not the case in seasons 7 and 8. So again, it's just another thing that shows us that Game of Thrones, the later seasons, didn't know what the fuck they were doing. Because I find this piece of lore fascinating. I don't believe it's ever been mentioned in the books that the dragons just couldn't fly past the wall barrier. Like, that's awesome. And that makes a lot of sense. And that also adds why it's probably going to be harder in Winds of Winter, whenever the hell that thing comes out. How the dragons, you know, they're not these unstoppable forces like the White Walkers, the others, they're still powerful. And so I just thought that was a really cool kind of like insertion. Again, it has nothing to do with the main story of the show, but it's just world building and it's great. And that's how you do it. And also what this episode does really well is not only humanize some of the Greens, it's showcasing that both sides are fucking up. Because in this episode, you have the Blood and Cheese event, which in the books, Fire and Blood, you know that because Daemon Targaryen, and with having been a City Watch person, knows all the nooks and crannies of within the Red Keep, he hires 2 assassins, a guy named Blood and a guy named Cheese, to essentially attempt an assassination on Aemond Targaryen. However, because Aemond can't be found, they can't just walk away and not do anything. And so the show becomes Game of Thrones. It does the thing where, like, okay, they take Aegon's kid, whom we saw earlier in the episode, who is just adorable. We basically see these two assassins just stab him. Well, we don't see it on screen, but it is highly insinuated by the noises he makes, that he is getting stabbed multiple times. It's just showing that, like, yes, the Blacks, maybe on paper and just maybe from a moral perspective, should sit the throne, but they are committing war crimes. And so it's like, it's really on right now, and things are just getting heated. Now, I will say as a con, and this is like probably my only issue with the episode, is I don't want to say it's boring, but the steam that was felt at the end of episode 10 of season 1, it's still felt, but it's not felt as much. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that this show, this season, is coming out 2 years after the first season. But I obviously think that, you know, as more episodes get released, this show is going to pick up that steam quite well. So that's like my only con when it comes to this episode. Everything else though, everything slaps. Overall, if you enjoyed season 1, I don't see how you're not going to enjoy this episode. I do think it's a bit slow, but that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying this episode sucks. I say it's a solid 8 out of 10. And again, the episode, it is setting things up so when we get to that battle in the season, shit just pops off even more. And all that rage that's being built up between the characters just explodes. So yeah, as always, I'm your majestic sailor aboard SuperCliff. And if you guys are new to the channel, then do me a solid by smashing that like and subscribe button. And also hit the notification bell so you'll never miss out on an upload. And so you'll always be kept up to date with your favorite House of the Dragon news, updates, suggestions, takes happening in this Westeros fantastical world. Now tell me, what are your thoughts and opinions on this recent episode? Do you guys think that the lowering of viewership has to do a lot more with the fact that the first season came out 2 years ago? Do you think people are just losing interest? I doubt that's the second reason, but you know, hey, let me know your opinions down in the comment section below. And until the next video, peace. Giggity goo.